Love is in the air. Fuck, I don't remember the rest of the words I was gonna sing. Damn it, Chris was like...
You tried.
But romance is the name of the game today on our show.
That's true.
Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. We are here for episode 105.
Nope.
3? Son of a bitch! Let me try again. Woo! Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. I am here... Fuck! I introduced this first and then the episode number. Again.
Whatever you
so
like.
Sorry.
You realize there's a very good chance this is all staying in.
Fine. Good for you.
Yay!
Great.
Even that awkward pause.
Lazy editing.
Yep.
Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. My name is Caitlin and joining me today are...
Jake.
Chris.
Woo! I mean, Ames. We're doing everything.
Do it again!
No!
Take 153. Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Caitlin and joining me today are...
Jake!
Chris!
Ames!
And we're here for an episode 103.
Woo!
Yeah, great. Wherein we will be discussing 2 Star Trek The Next Generation episodes, Half a Life and The Host. In Half a Life, the writers do the impossible by making Lwaxana Troi an actual sympathetic and likable character, by making her fall in love with a scientist named Timison, who is a scientist from Kaylon, who has been working his entire life to try to reignite their sun so their society doesn't shit the bed. He's on board the Enterprise because they've offered to assist, and when his plan to fix the sun totally fails, he's like, well, time to go home and die. To which everyone on board is like, huh? And it turns out that on Kaylon, once you reach the ripe old age of 60, you're expected to kill yourself. And he's about to turn 60 in a couple days. Unfortunately for Lwaxana Troi, this is the first man in her entire life whom she has ever had legitimate feelings for, and not just her usual weird lust shit. So she's pretty bummed out, and she tries to talk him out of it. He kind of decides he might go along with her plan to skip out on the whole death thing, but is basically told that he's trashed by, like, the president of his world, and his own daughter is like, I'm ashamed of you, and he's like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna go kill myself. The end.
That's pretty concise, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks. In The Host, Beverly is in love with a weird slug monster living inside of the belly of a man who's a Trill. He is on board the Enterprise because he's going to be negotiating. It's basically between... There's this place called Pellier-Zell. There's 2 moons. There's Alpha Moon and Beta Moon. Alpha Moon has found this really sweet energy source, but it's fucking killing all of the people on Beta. And they're like, could you please stop? And Alphas are like, nah. So they bring in Odon, who is a super awesome Trill mediator. And we opened with him and Bev being, getting
Sucking
a little
face.
bounce chicka wow wow and shit, and Data being a really annoying fucking cockblock, which was great.
Bless your heart, Data. Bless your heart.
He's Odon, Bev's main squeeze and the Trill negotiator. He has to go down to a neutral meeting place so he can talk it out with the Alphas and the Betas. But when he's on his way down, on a space shuttle that's being flown by Riker, finally see some of those alleged awesome piloting skills, and it didn't go very well, did it, you fuck? But they're shot. I think they said it was by the Betas, but I could be wrong.
Cuck.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Fucking beta cuck
cuck.
soy boys. And Odon is actually a casualty of this strike. He gets him back to the ship. He tries to do an emergency transporting, but Odon's all like, no, you'll kill me. And he's like, what? And then it turns out that, as I mentioned, as I hinted at before, Odon himself is actually a weird parasite thing living in the body of his pretty cute host body thing. His host body is dying, but that is really, really, really bad timing because it means he needs to super order up a new Trill body, but he's supposed to be negotiating tomorrow.
And he forgot to study for his test, and he's naked.
And he's naked. I was just thinking
and his
that.
teeth start falling out.
Oof. I never had that dream, but I feel like
I've
it would
had that
really
one.
freak me
It's
right the
weird.
fuck out. As a stopgap while they're waiting for his Amazon Prime ordered Trill body.
Arrives in 2 days.
2 days. He jumps all up inside of Riker, and
Riker was into it.
yeah, Riker was pretty down. Bev, not as much, but she learned to like it. And Troi was like, yeah, I'd say hit it. Do you know how big his... Yeah, huh?
Beard.
Yes, his beard. It's a great big bushy beard. Anyway, now Riker has to be the negotiator, but it's really Odan running the show in there. He has to prove to the ambassadors from Alpha Moon, and Beta Cuck that he really is the guy that they knew. He explains about the Trill. Apparently nobody fucking knew about the Trill. They know that they're great negotiators, but had no idea that they were actually just fucking... I mean, basically they sound like ringworms. If you host a Trill, do you lose a lot of weight? Is there at least some kind of... Actually, you know what? I bet Riker did lose a shitload of weight because he was sick as a fucking dog while this fucking thing was in
Plus
his
he was
guts.
banging Beverly every which way but loose.
Not to get into, like, detail or even spoiler territory, but pretty much everything we learn about the Trill in this episode will be erased and retconned by Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, there's some fake news
Wait,
here.
you said... Wait, did you lose weight when you have ringworm?
That's
What's
no,
the...
not
No,
ringworm,
tapeworm.
tapeworm.
Sorry,
Oh.
ringworm's the foot one, isn't
yeah,
it?
Ringworm is
ringworm
actually-
is a fungus,
Ringworm
as
is
a
a fungus.
dermatological
Yeah, sorry, I meant-
infection.
I was gonna say, I should get ringworm.
Hey, remember we played Codenames that time and you were trying to give us the clue was ringworm and we just wouldn't get it.
Yeah,
Remember that?
and what was it for? It's for like fungus or something.
Yeah, it was something, and we were like, duh. But, yeah, so it turns out, though, that having a weird parasite thing in your body's not great, so he's basically, Riker is, like, on his death's bed. But, you know, things, he gets out of Riker, he's in stasis, things are looking good, the body has arrived just in time, and Bev is, you know, thinking things are going to be great. She's worked through her feelings about how weird it is that he switches bodies, and, you know, what really matters isn't what he looks like, but who he is inside.
And she's wiped off all the Riker.
Yeah.
But have you
Oh.
seen who he is inside? He's a giant weird worm thing.
Listen.
Octopus caterpillar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then, his new host, and I fucking saw this coming from a mile and a fucking way, is a woman. And Bev is like, well, you know what? I could deal with the space worm, but, no homo, bro. And, that's the end, I think.
Yeah, but she plays it off like it's, you know, it's not a
human
gay
fault.
thing. It's not even that. It's just that I can't deal with you changing so much.
How much is he gonna really... Okay, but...
How often does this
stupid.
guy die?
So often. Well, at least twice, because he mentions that the last time he dealt with the Alpha Beta Cucks...
Well, that was a while ago, though, because the guy from Alpha was wicked young at the time, supposedly.
Well, yeah, but his host body, they thought he was his dad.
Yeah, I mean, presumably that body lasted a while.
We are putting the cart before the horse, however,
Yeah,
because
we
first
are.
we have
The
to talk
Let's
about...
deal
caterpillar
with-
before the
Let's deal with the
octopus.
horse. Lwaxana Troi.
She's not a horse.
Yeah, she's got her
She's
eyes
a
set on
singular
this
whore,
this
actually, not several
this
whores.
thick veiny boy.
So,
I wonder what his dick
Whoa.
looked like.
so
Did it have those
his
stripes?
head certainly had enough veins on it.
I was mad at this episode because I'm just usually, all right, it's a Lwaxana episode. I can kind of space out and just hate it. But it's good, and
It's a
I'm
really good,
annoyed.
yeah.
They did a really good job with Lwaxana. Like by the end, when she's a person,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh wow,
shit.
Well,
good
And,
for her.
and also, I was
And there was
bitter.
a scene where she wasn't wearing all that garish makeup,
Yep,
and you're like,
she was just, it
she's
was
a person.
But I was sitting there, and the worst part is, I was watching this when I had time to kill before going somewhere, so I'm watching this motherfucker on my tablet in Starbucks, and it's all sad at the end, and I want to be all emotional, but it's like I'm in the middle of a Starbucks. I don't want to get emotional in public to begin with, but especially not because there's something, oh, what's wrong with this guy? And lean on my shoulder, fucking Star Trek credits, like, what a fucking jackass.
They'll
And
think,
this
they'll
is why
think
we
you're
need
upset over the
feminism.
Starbucks cups.
Yeah.
the war on Christmas.
Lwaxana. She's this is actually, you know, one of the few times where we get a Lwaxana episode that doesn't infuriate me.
Yeah, no,
Well,
she,
and-
like... Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, they totally fake you out, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because you feel like it's gonna be like every other time. It's like she's literally only on the ship because she wants to meet this guy, because she's Lwaxana Troi, who's always on the fucking manhunt. And
Manhunt.
then she goes ahead and, like, actually has legitimate feelings, and you're just like, wow, this is unexpected.
And, like, reacts in a fairly natural
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like a person would
Although she
react.
fell in love with the guy in like
yeah, I
a
mean, so
fucking
that's
half
true to
an
form.
hour.
That's TV.
That's her, but that's Lwaxana. She would fall in love with him.
Well, and again, though, like let's look at it. I know that's the next episode, but Bev falls completely in love with the Trill in less than a week.
Well, was it only less than a week?
Well, by that point...
I got the point that they'd been dating for a while by then.
No, he'd only been on board 10 days.
Oh.
So, like, in the sense was they'd already been kind of fucking for a couple days by that point, so...
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't think it's that unrealistic.
What?
For Lwaxana to fall head over heels
for anyone to do it.
For this kind of really milquetoast guy.
For anyone to do it really quickly.
Mm. Yeah.
And also, like... I would argue that someone said this is just Lwaxana being Lwaxana. She just never loved any of these other guys that she's gone after.
The thing is, like, I'm more so surprised by his reciprocating it because Lwaxana is the type of person where if I were stuck in an elevator with her, I would literally want to melt.
You would break in case of fire and just end her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could just be. It does sound like his society is really uptight and boring. So it might just, and I think it might just be for him. It's like someone who knows how to live. Like he even says at one point, she just has this.
You're so alive.
Voraciousness for a living. You feel like even though they know they're gonna die, you kind of wonder like, do they spend their whole lives being just kind of moribund because of that?
Busting out the $5 words.
I really hope I used that right.
I mean, yeah. And his daughter, man.
Oh, what a bitch.
She was terrible.
Fuck her.
What was that pinwheel head?
It has a terrible haircut.
Yeah, no, like, that society deserves to die just for that hair.
But
and Michelle Forbes is pretty, too.
Yeah, Michelle Forbes is pretty.
The daughter?
She'll return to play Ensign Rowe.
That's Ensign Rowe?!
Yeah.
She's pretty.
Wow, it's amazing what a bad haircut can do.
Yeah. Ensign who?
She's an actress. She's the same actress plays a character that we're going to meet next season.
Yeah, she's like a semi-recurring I'm sorry, I'm dealing with that fucking piece of information. Holy shit.
She's got bad eyebrows, dog.
Who? Michelle Forbes?
Laren.
Wow, holy shit. Anyway, yes.
What's on her face? What is she?
She's a Bajoran.
She's a Bajoran.
Oh, this is the ear thing.
Yep.
People always talk about.
Yep.
Okay.
Ooh,
yeah, but no, she was an awful bitch.
Yeah, no, she was horrible.
Yeah, she was not nice to her daddy.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, this is what their culture says to do.
But their culture is wrong.
But they think that their culture is right.
Yeah, how hard is it for them to wrap their heads around that this is not the norm in the universe? Because they don't talk to other people.
Well, they are. Yeah, they are so isolationist.
Like this is one of those instances where I personally feel like the Prime Directive can go suck an egg because here you have.
Picard upheld it for a change.
I know.
Yeah, but
when it's convenient for him.
Because it gave us the... Well, see, he's foolish. He should have interceded because Lwaxana would have never been buzzing around his beehive ever again.
There's that, but there's also you have this brilliant guy who is this close to like saving an entire planet from impending doom. And
it's all good. Somebody else will do the work. Don't worry.
Wants to live. Like, the whole point is that he actually wants to live. Oh, well, my hands are tied. Prime Directive. Can't do shit.
Dexter Jetsta?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for once, again, like, thank God Lwaxana's there to be like, yeah, well, guess what, bitch? I'm not in Starfleet. Doesn't apply to me.
It's not my Prime Directive, bitch.
Yeah, no,
Her Prime Directive is get it.
It's a really bizarre world where it's like, no, she's right. Fuck you, Picard. Lwaxana Troi's right. Why am I saying this?
And, like, this is another situation is, like, so the United States, or, most countries, I imagine, have a general rule of thumb where, like, they're not going to do business with countries that have horrible human rights.
You know what?
Abuses.
I'm going to stop you right there. Pick another country. It's not going to work with America.
Well, that's why I said, that's why I threw in that or any other country.
Why don't we say Canada? Canada people are nice.
I would say most civilized countries have or should have or ostensibly have and probably don't really have.
The ostensibly is good, yeah.
A policy of not dealing with countries that do human rights abuses.
Listen, Russia should be back in the G8 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Anyway, point is, what is obviously this, like, cultural norm or not, this is a fucking atrocity.
It's pretty fucked up.
This is not a fucking. This is a human. You know, I'm pissing off Chancellor What's Her Fuck, but
Gorkin.
Gorkin's daughter, though. What was her name?
Azitber.
Thank you.
By calling it human rights, but this is a human rights fucking atrocity.
Yeah.
To for any reason, and if I was a Federation, I'd say, you know what? You want our fucking help? You want us to save your planet? Fucking straighten up.
The problem, of course, is that these people are just as likely to go, we don't need you then.
Yeah, well, it's true. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Oh, the Federation is so down to get on its knees and suck the dick of any culture that, oh, they're xenophobic, they're letting us in. Oh, ooh, we're so good, we're gonna help you with your problems. Oh, you're xenophobic. That's the Federation gussying themselves up so they can get ready for a nice night on the town.
Because it looked like you were primping your breasts for a little titty fucking.
Yeah, well, that's what the Federation wants. The Federation's like, oh yeah, you put that xenophobic jizz all over my face. And you don't go to the Klingons, you don't go to the Romulans, you come to us. You come to us. And like, fucking bullshit, Federation. These people are assholes. They're assholes that kill old people.
Yep.
And
not even that old.
Especially in the 24th century. Well, I guess we don't know, but
we don't know what their natural
They don't know what their natural lifespan is.
And the thing is, they're like, 15 centuries ago, or however many time long ago.
An exceptionally long time ago.
It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. Back in those days, sure, it would be horrible to have old people be a burden, because I'm sure you were in, like, the fucking medieval times, like we were. But you know what? Times change.
Yeah.
We got fucking Bones McCoy dancing a jig with Data in the hall.
Yeah.
We got fucking Spock off doing God knows what.
Well, he's also a Vulcan, but...
Yeah, but same difference.
But yeah, no, that's the thing. It's
like... The problem is, though, is that their society's not set up, though, for old people. Like, they would have to, whip up some old folks' homes.
Whip up some not being
the
xenophobic.
Fucking Federation.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay.
Like, just fucking get the plug out of your ass.
It's fucking bad. Like, there's certain things that, like, when it, there's it's a societal norm. Well, what if, so if it was a societal norm on this planet, if you had a child that was born, I don't know, Down syndrome, and the procedure on this planet was you leave that child up on the cliff.
Yep.
Like they did in ancient Greece.
I was gonna say, like in Sparta? Like they used to do on this planet?
Yeah, exactly.
You're talking some man in the high castle with the
euthanasia.
Obergruppenführer's son.
Yeah, the euthanasia thing. Like, if that was the procedure for children, I don't think the Federation would have had that. I think they would have said, that's fucked up, we're not dealing with you. You fix your shit. But it's old people, so fuck them!
Yeah.
Aegis.
Wow. Yeah. Now I feel bad for being on the Kalen's side.
As you should.
And for Picard to pick this moment
of all times
to be prime directive.
Plus, as we learned a few episodes ago, he was just about to have his 10th violation free sub.
That's right. He's gonna get his card punched. But here's the deal. But here's the fucking problem. My respect for Picard actually dropped because of this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you are kind of a coward in this moment for not I get it, for the purpose of the plot, for the purpose of this episode, for the purpose of the story, fine. I like the story, I like the episode, but
here's the thing. Okay, finish
internal consistency, internal logic, and Picard's integrity is in the shit can right now.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Every other episode where something like this has happened and Picard's made some kind of dumb Picard decision, we've specifically said, you know whose job this should be? Some ambassador or ship's lawyer or some higher up in Starfleet. So why are we mad at Picard? Like, he should have really...
Actually, there is an ambassador on board. There's an ambassador on board, and she is firmly in the camp of, fuck the Prime Directive,
she's not a Federation ambassador.
No.
She's the Beta Z ambassador to the Federation.
And Beta Z is a member of the Federation, I believe.
I would say he totally could have used that as an out and supported her.
And be like, listen, she outranks me.
Also, let's be honest, right? This little fucking isolationist rinky-dink planet, to pick up a phrase from Jake that I don't usually use.
What, rinky-dink?
Yeah, I
or
don't say
planet?
That rinky-dink.
Jake.
There is no way those motherfuckers have ships that could threaten the Enterprise A, much less this one.
Oh yeah, those two little triangle ships, the model that we've seen 100. Like, is that like the Apple? Like, what is that? Is that like who's making these triangle ships that every fucking little shitball planet has?
The Romulans. It's all part of the plan.
They're back.
Wow, so it's sounding right now, because I read a bunch of reviews of this episode, and they said that it did such a good job of not really playing sides, but it sounds like everyone has all of you have only seen the one side of the argument.
No, because I would say, I just think that it's inconsistent. If Picard was actually a stickler for the Prime Directive all the time, I'd be like, okay. But he chose this time when there's a legitimate moral reason to, in my opinion, there's a legitimate moral reason to violate the Prime Directive. This is when he's, I can't do that.
Well, also, it's in human nature to stand up, I think, or at least it used to be maybe, to stand up when this kind of shit's going down. We would still be using slavery if no one had bothered to be like, wow, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean...
The Beta's Edge would still be wearing those silly wigs with the bird cages.
That was a good story. I like that.
It was her, right? Did she say
analogy.
that? It was her.
No, he just said, oh, she must have been like you. I was waiting for
her to be like, yes, she was me. Because it should have been.
That would have been a good idea.
But on the other hand, I feel like that's almost a little too obvious, and I'm glad they resisted
Part of
it.
me, I'm vaguely remembering the birdcage head thing coming up earlier, and it... Or am I just totally making that up?
Yeah, it might have, but I don't remember.
If it did, I don't remember.
But, my point being that, someone had to be the first person to say, this is super fucked up.
Yeah.
And it should have been Picard.
Now,
it should have been Lwaxana, because that's how Lwaxana becomes a good character.
To Picard's credit, it did seem like he was willing to accept the asylum request.
Yeah,
which is not going as far as to lay down some truth.
To give a good old fashioned speech.
But it is. I guess that alone could be considered a violation potentially. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think that giving someone asylum who's requesting it should count. I mean, asylum is
to your point, Ames. I can see I totally get why they started doing what they did.
Which thing?
The whole knocking people off at 60 thing. Because, you know what?
He makes a really good argument when Timothy's talking to Lwaxana about people being held alive longer than they want to be alive.
Yeah. Listen, he can kill himself anytime he wants. He just doesn't have to do it at 60.
Yeah, well, that's
if he decides at 75 to go all Hunter S. Thompson and, let it go after a life full of glory, go right ahead.
Where's the equity in that?
Well, I can see how, again, when you've got a civilization when there's not a lot of technology and, on this planet, living to 60 once used to probably be a weird, sucky outlier thing. So, you start doing it. But again, it's been so long, there's so much technology now, get your shit together.
Yeah.
Especially since your planet's potentially about to be, it's about to turn into a popsicle.
Yeah, you would think that if you were living on a planet that was facing an untimely demise, that you might rethink untimely demise.
I mean, honestly, if you are so dead set on honoring some tradition that you'll let your civilization potentially perish for it, then you know what? Frankly, you fucking deserve it.
Yeah, your whole civilization
Lwaxana basically said that. She was like, well, if you really believe this, then just fucking let the star die then.
Fuck this planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if everybody has to get killed at 60, then it sounds like your son should get killed at 62.
Yeah. And it is well over 60.
Looks good, though.
But, and I think, to the point that,
it's like Chewie.
Life expectancies, if this has been the case for 1,500 years, say.
Yeah.
1,500 years ago, human life expectancy was, 40?
Probably.
At best. So, somebody living to 60 would be fucking ancient.
Yeah, they'd probably be miserable.
And they'd be really miserable. So, considering, in the current medical state of medical science on Earth, in a developed country, it is not unusual for people to live well into their 80s or 90s. So why haven't they made adjustments? If their policy was, okay, we want to kill everybody at the same age so that, we're not playing favorites or whatever.
Yeah.
Then scale it with the life expectancy. This guy was fucking virile.
But again, they don't know the life expectancy.
Well, they don't, but
But they should have noticed over the last 1,500 years that people are less sick.
Yeah, every couple of years, why don't we bump it up a couple of years?
Plus, what about the people who, drop dead early through illness or accident or whatever? Did someone get those extra years? No. I mean, his wife died years ago. We don't know what of, but presumably not her, what's it called?
I don't know. He could have been chasing a cougar.
I guess so.
Yeah, what was it called?
resolution.
There you go.
Wasn't there a sci-fi thing where the premise was...
Logan's Run?
No, not Logan's Run. But yeah, that is what this episode reminded me of. No, it was a thing where like everybody had a certain amount of time to live, like it was a clock, and you could...
All dogs go to heaven?
You could buy and sell time.
Oh yeah, that was that it was like a Justin Timberlake movie. I can't remember what it was called.
All dogs go to heaven.
But yeah, well, that was a whole thing where it was like that was.
It fucks you up.
Yeah.
No, it just teaches you about life and death.
It was supposed to be like a commentary, but I don't think it was executed very well because it cost money. You know, like the rich lived essentially forever, the poor died young.
Well, yeah, and like the thing was like there was a finite amount of time, but like if you could buy it, you'd have to buy it off of somebody. So like, you could give me 5 years, and I would, I don't know, suck your dick. I don't know, whatever the rule is, whatever the trade for 5 years of life is.
Yeah, I can't remember what
that
that
dick
was called.
suck for me would be worth well more than that, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever done it before?
No.
Well, then probably not.
It's all teeth. My tongue's like a cat's.
I got 5 years, and I just butchered your dick.
This was going so well.
This is the price we pay for having a good Lwaxana Troi episode. Clearly, Jake is blowing people for more time.
That time.
Speaking of, Lwaxana was chilling in Picard's chair, she was hanging out on the bridge with Worf, and clearly jettisoned Finney a number of times.
Mr. Wolf.
Yeah,
Wait, was that this episode?
Yeah, she called him Mr. Wolf.
Wasn't somebody else just playing with the buttons on his chair recently?
Yeah, Vash.
Yeah,
Vash did. I think she called him Mr. Wolf in a previous episode too.
Yeah, he corrected her in this one.
Yeah.
But Lwaxana Troi is all about pushing his buttons, to be fair.
Worf is like the worst cop. Because he's more like the old man that works at he's like the security guard at the mall where he's like, you kids shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Who gave you bridge access?
Like O'Brien did a better job where he locked the transporter before leaving.
Oh yeah.
Leaving them alone with it.
Yes. So she could give him a piece of her mind.
Yeah.
You know, the thing I didn't... Okay, this pissed me off about this episode. This is a nitpick. But they fucking... have crying sounds in the telepathy talk.
Yeah, that was weird.
They what?
When they were in the transporter room and Lwaxana and Troi were having their moment, they were telepathing, and Lwaxana was crying on the outside, but she was also in the voiceover, which was the telepathy. And I'm like, all right,
that doesn't make sense.
Like, it's kind of weird that that crying noise made it in there.
Well, no, but so what I think is that. That's how we would perceive it would sound like she was telepathic.
Oh, that is an embodiment of the empathy.
Right, but in actuality, her feeling of crying was lending something to it that we can't sense, being that we are not empaths.
Like Diana is.
She's like, I can sense that mother is crying.
Or she added in
She's looking right at her.
Mentally, because she knows her daughter's a shitty empath.
Also, speaking of voiceovers, from a production standpoint, I noticed the computer didn't speak this week. Like they went out of their way. Like anytime somebody interacted with the computer, it just made a beep boop.
I feel like this happened before. I feel like usually when Lwaxana's on, when you notice that the computer speaks a lot less.
Yeah, the computer is very quiet this week.
Like they try to.
Guys, the computer doesn't talk that often. It's just a conception by men that women talk like 70% more than they actually do.
What? I mean, you're right. For all that you're joking, it is. They do actually. The computer does talk less in TNG than I thought it did, based on just vague memories and stuff. But there are a lot of times where it is just beep boop beep, not. Yeah.
But there were definitely times when normally the computer would have talked.
True.
Like at one point, I think somebody asked for somebody's location, and instead of the computer saying so and so is in wherever they are, it just paused a second and then cut.
You know what else? What other voiceover we heard was Troi doing the introductory log entry, which was literally a sentence.
Yeah, that was.
This is Troi. Mom's here. Thanks, Troi.
See that, but in a way,
this is why you never do these.
In a way, it was kind of great because for me, again, I was going in just being like, "Oh Christ, it's a Lwaxana episode," and her tone with. My mother is here. It was just like, yep, I'm already feeling that way too.
Deanna's right there with you.
Yep, it's like,
and Picard was hiding behind a door frame.
He was.
Yeah, that was humorous because Picard thought that he was going to get
annoyed this episode, but
she had her sights on someone else.
This is why he didn't want to violate the Prime Directive. he would really, really miss Lwaxana being his little fan club. Even though it probably kind of annoys him, probably kind of loves it.
No, yeah.
Yeah, he does.
And he's always picturing her naked, so.
Literally, though, she's like, oh, you were just thinking about me, weren't you? He must have been.
Yeah,
Why
he was
would she-
thinking, oh, God, she's here. I have to hide.
I mean, maybe he really does want a boner.
Oh, God, I hope
Well,
not.
who wouldn't? She's hot. I mean,
Yeah.
She's annoying. I just
also,
couldn't.
I don't know.
you put your
She
dick
can
in her
read your mind,
mouth
like,
and
the
she
worst-
won't
Wow.
talk anymore.
Yeah, but she can still hear your thoughts, and that's uncomfortable.
Could she hear Timoson's thoughts?
No.
No,
She-
wrong
she-
species.
Could she still read him
Sense.
empathically?
I assumed not.
Really? That should have been a bigger plot point, because, when she's met, or when any Betazoid has met a species that they couldn't read, they made a big fucking deal about it.
Well, she's older, she's had more experience, and she's
Yeah.
an ambassador, which means she probably deals with species whose minds and feelings she can't read all the time.
And I kind of been wondering this. So, are all Betazoids empathic, or is only Deanna empathic? Are all because
Versus telepathic?
right? So Lwaxana has straight up telepathy.
She read a
she
mind.
She can just read your mind. Period.
But I thought that they covered that, like, all of them can empath, but not all of them can do the higher level stuff.
Maybe I don't know. I just
The ones who put more points in empathy.
I was just wondering if maybe it's like a mutually exclusive thing where like the empathy is really just kind of a watered down version of the telepathy that Deanna has because she's not full on Betazoid.
But she telepathies with her mom and with Riker.
Wait, it seems with
that's
her...
like a deep connection.
Yeah, there has to be like...
Oh, so she couldn't just
You had to have
telepath
seen one of
anybody.
them naked before.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, we know she's seen her mom naked because that's how Beta Zed's weddings do. And how many times has she probably had to witness her mom getting married?
And Riker's just usually naked when he's,
Anyone can read Riker's mind.
Riker goes to the holodeck and does naked tromboning.
Oh, God, you think, when he's in the shower at the gym afterwards, he does the Riker maneuver?
Probably.
Just always.
Just has one foot up while he's,
I was gonna say, I
shampooing.
was like, what does that even mean? Like,
The one leg up thing.
climbs over someone who's
that
also
could be-
showering
that
and
could be a
teabags them on the way
convenient,
by.
having a leg up can give you better access to certain cleaning areas.
Gross.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, he's doing it the whole time,
Oh,
not
and-
just
and
when he's
buttholes,
getting
I'm sure.
Getting the...
I don't know how the whole external
The dark and
genitalia
stormy.
thing works, but I know what I have to lift my leg for.
Do you think the gym on the Enterprise is a communal shower like at the Y?
That's what I'm
probably-
imagining for the sake
There's
of this
not
joke.
a shower. It's probably just a...
Well, yeah,
They beam the filth
They do
off
talk
of you.
about sonic showers.
So,
I feel like a sonic shower would just be like a really loud "Ah!" and the shit just flies off and you're done.
I feel like we've said this before, but I'm
Oh,
positive.
well.
Also, again.
Sorry.
Oh.
It wasn't me the first time.
There was a point where Lwaxana tells Mr. Hum, spread it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like, he hears that all the time.
Wait, so does that mean Lwaxana's into pegging?
I bet
I don't know what that is. I don't think I want
Holm,
to.
That's
Not enough
that's-
Fucking a
Holman.
guy in the asshole with a strap on.
Yeah, strap on in the bum.
You're
Not
welcome.
enough Mr. Home in this episode.
Yeah,
true.
not a lot. But he showed up a few times.
He did. So I liked, as part of Lwaxana's sort of push of her speech, whatever. Like, the part of it was, for all that she just genuinely thought it was just fucked up, there was a little bit of her own sort of personal... her becoming a person, but her personal worries.
About being old.
Yeah.
About getting
and, like,
older.
feeling less valued and this and that. And,
Wasn't there a line she says, 60? 60's nothing.
yeah.
Here's what actually bothered me, though, is it sounded like part of the reason they started the resolution was because kids didn't want to take care of their parents.
Yeah, on their planet, they just didn't give a fuck.
And I was like, yeah, nobody does, but everyone does it. I mean, that's like, nobody really wants to get saddled with taking care of their aged parent, probably, but like, you do it because Lwaxana says this. Why shouldn't they pay you back for raising them? Like, and that's the thing.
As long as they're not assholes.
It's about filial duty, in my opinion. And the fact of the matter is that this planet, these people decided they would rather cut short a potentially, a good life, a life of a brilliant scientist or a talented compositionist or a poet or a writer. They would rather cut that person's life short rather than, like, buy a few disposable diapers and, like, maybe have to, like, visit mom once a week. Like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also do think that, honestly, I think if it were not a forced thing, if it were you can do it.
Sure,
No
have legal
voluntary
euthanasia.
Yeah.
If that's really what you want.
You know?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
I
that is
believe
my-
in guided
my problem
suicide.
with it is that it's not a choice.
Humane.
Yeah.
And that, like, not only, like, I don't know. It just seems like I'm with Lwaxana on this one. Take the bird off your head and
Eat it,
I think it's interesting that
Spread it.
Mr.
that his daughter's hair kind of looked like an animal, perhaps.
Flattened animal,
I squished it because it was
roadkill?
too old.
oven mitt
Uh,
on her head.
Damn.
the thing
going
that
with
the thing that bothered me though is at the end when he basically tells her like, "You were almost enough to live for." Shrug. I was just like, "Ooh, that's."
I mean, considering how clearly, like, how much he cares about his stupid culture. To say that she was almost enough to overtake that is impressive.
It just kind of feels like insult to injury.
Especially because it's Lwaxana.
Yeah.
But I also love that, ultimately she's like, I'm going to go with you. They said your loved ones are supposed
That
to
was
be there.
so
Oh,
good. She
that-
grew up
yeah.
she-
if she was an annoying brat teenager before, she's suddenly like the family matriarch.
She was 13 going on 30.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
the
I
daughter
liked
wasn't
it.
thrilled to see her there, so.
Well,
Good.
whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The good thing is they never have to see each other again because
Nope.
the one thing that would have bound them is now presumably dead.
Yeah.
Though we don't ever see it, so I like to imagine that Lwaxana magicked up some kind of bullshit and then they snuck off and traveled the stars together.
Aww.
And then he died naturally and she was like, well, I'm still alive, time to go bother my daughter. Probably.
He died at 60 anyway of a different thing. Like fucking Lwaxana
Yeah,
too much.
Fucking Lwaxana gave him a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, I was right in the middle of it. So, we were talking about
Right in the middle of it.
voiceovers earlier, and I feel like we can't not mention that our guest star, David Ogden Stiers, for this episode, is known for MASH. He was in that for quite some time.
Winchester.
But, as I learned when I looked him up, holy shit, this guy was a Disney regular.
Yeah?
Very prolific.
He was
Like who?
Cogsworth
Oh, sweet.
in not just Beauty and the Beast, but the awful, like, straight-to-DVD Christmas special, and Kingdom Hearts games.
They
Like, he
got
just-
a lot of original actors for that.
Yeah, he just kept coming back to be Cogsworth. He was
Ratcliffe and
in the
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas films.
Your
He was-
favorite.
Oh, yes, he's the Archdeacon in Hunchback of Notre Dame. He was a recurring alien scientist in Lilo and Stitch and its various spin-offs and
Naming
series.
all movies I haven't seen.
He
Lilo
was-
and Stitch has spin-off movies and series?
It has a couple of TV series. It has a sequel movie.
What?
Yeah. It, what else?
Stitch learns surfing.
He was in
I don't fucking know.
the dubs
Probably true.
of... Because Disney did a lot of the dubs for their Studio Ghibli films. He was in Spirited Away and Porco Rosso.
Who was he in Porco Rosso?
I do not remember.
Michael Keaton was a fucking great Porco Rosso.
He was.
That movie is the balls.
But yeah, no, like you look this guy up, he did so much voiceover work.
He was very, very, very
And
prolific.
television work, and like I think he was also I feel like pretty much everyone
Hand model.
involved with Star Trek was at some point or another on Murder, She Wrote. Like the more I look up people who are on this show, the more I keep seeing Murder, She Wrote
Well, it's
pop
because
up.
they were contemporary. I think
Yeah.
Murder, She Wrote went into like 91 or 92
Yeah, wasn't there also
or
a
something.
ton of murdering she
Oh
wrote?
god, so
Like
much.
fucking
7,
she was-
11, like
Shitloads of
11.
seasons.
But there were
So
those
many
couple
murders.
of seasons where there wasn't really a lot of her, remember?
Yeah.
That sucked.
But yeah, like everybody. Fucking John Delancey at one point.
Oh, sweet.
Ton of people.
It was truly the Columbo of its time.
I was just gonna say.
Well, it's kind of like how when you look at back in the 1960s,
Back
if you
in
were
the
on Doctor
summer
Who,
of
you had
60.
probably also been in
Coronation
Zed Cars or Corey. So yeah, it's just the Murder She Wrote is like the late '80s version of that.
Doctor what?
When I told you that
Oh, wow.
someone caught that it was that actor from across the room,
Yeah,
was not looking at it, probably couldn't hear it very well, and was like, "Is that Winchester from MASH?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it is." Damn,
I have to watch MASH.
it's a really good show.
I'm
last-
aware that I have very vague memories of watching it, but they're very vague.
I've only seen the movie, and I love the movie, so I've had a hard time.
You said the movie doesn't have Alan Alda.
No,
it
it
only
has-
has
I
only
love
radar.
Alan Alda.
Only radar is the
Is in
same
both,
in
yeah.
both.
So that the movie is a very serious film.
Which one has Odo?
the series, I think.
Original?
No, I think it's the movie.
Is it?
Yeah, because he's Father Mulcahy, and I know the
it's
Father
definitely,
Mulcahy's
he's definitely not
someone else.
Father Mulcahy.
Oh, is he Father?
Yeah,
Oh,
Rene
geez.
Auberjonois is the film Father Mulcahy.
Boy.
Well, the show MASH is great. My understanding is that the later seasons get sort of preachy. Alan Alda gets a little preachy, but
Yeah.
from what I've seen, I love
He's
it.
allowed.
But I've
He's
mostly
so
seen
great.
like the later stuff, I think, anyway, because I mostly remember Winchester and Colonel Potter and like God, who's the other one? There was BJ, right? Was the second one,
B.J. Honeycutt.
right? He's the second friend.
Yeah, the
first
original
friend
one is
was
Trapper John.
Trapper John, yeah. So I mostly know like the latter half of that show, but it was really quite good.
Yeah. Oh, see the movie has Donald Sutherland when he's young. It has
Donald Sutherland used to be young?
Yeah,
Ooh.
he was
hot?
he was Hawkeye.
Oh.
And oh god, what's his name was Trapper John? Fucking
Yeah, old, what's his name there?
from The Long Goodbye. The detective.
Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould. It's such a good cast.
Wow, I can't believe I got that. That's such a good fucking movie, The Long Goodbye.
It is.
Wow, it's alright with me. Okay
No,
by
it's
me?
no,
It's
The
okay
Big
by
Goodbye.
me.
No, it's true.
Dude, for real
So
though,
much better.
The Long Goodbye is so good. If you want like a good who is he? He's
Marlowe.
Marlowe, yeah, Philip Marlowe. If you want a good Marlowe movie, man, that is a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, so David Ogden Stiers did amazing in this.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone Majel Barrett did great. He did great. The scenes together were great. Like, this was a really good episode. And again, I am so annoyed because I'm used just to like, oh god, okay, I can be bored for 45 minutes. It's like, oh no, this is really good. And they even did a good job having her start off as just like classic Lwaxana, but then she shifts like naturally,
it's like she
and you're like,
matures.
Classic mixed direction.
yeah, no,
You know, she was great. I loved it. I really, really loved this episode. I thought it was so sweet.
Yeah, no, it was, yeah, shit,
Cool.
Fair tugged at the heartstrings.
it really did.
Now the host,
Speaking
on
of
the
tugging,
other hand,
tugging at the heartstrings.
is that what he was doing in there?
Oh no, he was tugging at an octopus centipede. No, octopus.
Oh,
spider.
octopus centipede, yay. Yeah, the host was not as good as
It's interesting
Half a
though.
Life.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's funny. I saw someone once making fun of like people who complain about the Klingon makeup, how it's changed multiple times over the decades. But like the Trill will never look like this again.
Yeah, but do we ever see the Trill in TNG again?
No.
Yeah, so people, I don't think people give a shit.
Right,
No,
but
it's-
Klingons change series to series too.
Hell, the Klingons change between they look at one way in TOS, they look another way in Star Trek 1, they look a different way by Star Trek 3, and then that's kind of the template
But like,
for
it's not just a makeup change for the Trill. It's a
everything
completely
changes.
reboot.
Oh, yeah.
Like the only
Like the
thing that they
teleporter
really
thing.
retain is the only thing that they retain is that there is a parasite.
Octopus caterpillar.
And even in the
And it's not the way the personality ends up working is completely different. It's
Yeah.
not like
Which is
completely
like-
overwrites. It's
Yeah, I was wondering, because having seen some episodes of DS9 where the Trill is very heavily featured,
yeah.
they still have some manner of cognizance as their original host.
Yeah.
So, but in this, you would get the impression, this may not be true, that Riker doesn't know anything that's going on.
Yeah, like Riker's in a back room somewhere in his own body.
John Malkovich inside his own head.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
how he convinced Bev to sleep with him.
Yeah.
He was like, "Don't worry, he'll never remember what your tits look like. It's fine."
But
Yeah.
she knows what his schlong... Well, she's his doctor, so she already knew.
Yeah, something like, and I like the Trill as a concept, even as introduced in this episode. But you do have to kind of feel bad for the host.
Yeah, like, they're just gone?
they're just
Like-
they'll be there until they die.
Well, my question is, like, do the Trill then, like, keep them as cattle or something? And if yes, how did they start doing this? Like, did a Trill just sneak in one night and took over?
Yeah.
He
And
started
again-
telling his friends, like, hey, you know what's really great? You should get one of these stomach parasite Trill things. Look I lost, like, 10 pounds with my Trill diet, and then people were like, woohoo!
And again, ultimately,
how did it happen?
These questions will never be answered because when it comes to having a regular Trill, they completely change how it works, pretty much.
I really do just want to know how that started. Because, like, you would think that in the beginning it would have had to have been symbiotic, by which I mean that, like, they were both getting something from this arrangement, and as it seems now, the Trill, the parasite bug monsters...
Gets everything.
Gets everything, yeah.
It's like that. It's like Krang. Was that the
Krang.
Krang. It's like Krang from.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, but he
TNT.
had a robot. He didn't have a
True.
real person.
Yeah, but like that's basically what the human hosts
Yeah, you're right.
are.
Right in the stomach, too,
Yeah.
also. That's really
And
funny.
they kind
It's
of look
just
like a giant brain, a little bit. They're kind of brainy.
Yeah.
See, it looked more like... Actually, I would say it looked more like a Caterpie from Pokemon.
Yes. But yeah, so dynamics of the Trill aside, because again, this is all going to get retconned.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it's true.
Odon was so pretty. Original Odon.
He's alright.
I was into it.
90s hair.
I was watching the 90s.
Okay,
but
but-
like, oh, did you get your advice from Wyatt Derp there?
I think he got.
Okay,
I think
but
he got.
let's-
I think he goes to the same salon as Beverly goes to.
But let's remember that my first
Well, we saw the
girlhood-
salon in this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
My first girlhood crush was on a man with a mullet, so it should really
remember
surprise
that.
literally no one that
Yeah.
this is right up my alley.
Yeah, bad taste in hair.
But yeah, I don't know. I felt like there were. I don't know. There was a lot of time spent on the girl talk, which I don't know if I'm just being sexist here, but I
They
thought,
No, the
weren't
writers
even, They
were.
weren't even in their gymnastics costumes.
I just thought it was boring, and it brought. I felt it kind of brought the characters down a
Okay,
little.
here's
to just be like boys.
Here's one of the major issues they had doing this episode. Gates was 7 months pregnant. And she's even said, like, wow, it was really unfortunate that the timing worked out, that I had to do the really romantic thing while 7 months pregnant.
I
They
didn't
had to
even
make-
We
notice
both
that
have
she was
parasites
pregnant.
growing in us.
I was going to say, like, which one of you was pregnant? Because it shows his belly doing the distended thing.
But I didn't even notice.
Well,
She-
they did almost all boob up shots.
Really, you
Yeah.
don't think that to me, that's
Give
a good
him a
looking
different
man.
fucking
And she was
haircut.
always in her doctor coat.
yeah,
I noticed, even when it
like-
wasn't appropriate.
It never even occurred to me, like...
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can tell when a show is hiding someone.
Oh, yeah, because it'll be like a really obvious, like, thing in the way of just the stomach.
Voyager.
Who was pregnant in Voyager?
Who wasn't?
Roxanne Dawson.
Yeah.
Balana. There's a season where, for no reason, she starts wearing an engineering overcoat.
Oh.
And even with the coat, you're like...
Well, there's, like, in those uniforms, there's nothing to hide it.
Yeah, I know, but it was just like... Even with the coat, they would just shoot from the wrong angle sometimes, and you're like...
That's unfortunate.
You're not even trying Voyager.
And they worked in Nana Visitor's pregnancy in DS9.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty
Who?
But
Kira. But yeah, this episode, it was weird. Like you said, Jake, the way their discussion was written, it was trying to make it feel like these are adult women discussing,
Troy and Bev.
Yeah,
they're
this
getting their nails did.
Yeah, and it's trying to be like, oh no, I mean, you're an adult, you know the difference, and this and that. But again, because of the way it was
Troy
written...
is a fucking horn dog.
Yeah.
And she's just getting off from other people, it sounds like.
Well, because she
picking
can
up that
feel their...
emotional
She was
Yeah.
also being kind of judgy, I felt.
Getting a boner.
But
I thought
it's...
she was being a little judgmental.
But again, the whole thing of oh, you know the difference. But because it was and they're at the salon, she's getting her nails done, this and that, it did seem to infantilize the whole thing. It made it feel like, teenage girl talk, not women discussing true emotions.
Women, but here's the thing. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like girls kind of always dish the same way.
Maybe.
Like, I
But
think it's true that we also, get to the more important things, too. But, oh my god, he's so fucking cute.
Yeah, but I guess it wouldn't bother me as much. Because, I mean, again, people are allowed to be whatever they want to be, and they can be however they want. But because this show so consistently just writes women as stereotypes, it would feel better if they were more often written as better characters, so that when they did have these moments of just let's be kind of twee in the salon, it would be like, yeah, because they're normal people. And they're going to have these normal people moments. And again, it just feels, like they're just fucking stereotypes. The first man I ever was my father. Jesus Christ,
Oh, that was
Electra Complex.
gross. I didn't like that.
That was something
really
written by a
grossed me
man.
out.
Who's just like, oh, my daughter, I own her until I sell her to another man. Fuck you, whoever wrote that line.
That actually really grossed me out. I was,
was disgusting.
I somehow missed this line,
Well,
and
you
I'm
wanna-
feeling good that I did.
No,
Yeah,
dude,
that
it
was
wasn't
some-
even just a line. It was like
like
a
a speech.
diatribe. She was like, he made me feel safe, and I would give anything to be held safely in his arms again. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with
it was
you?
her
Wait,
way
that
to...
was about her father?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
How
Oh,
did
I
you-
missed that
Yeah, no,
part.
that was about Dadums.
Oh my god, I thought she was talking about like a boyhood crush.
No,
I
that was...
somehow missed the first line of who it was.
Yeah, no, the first man I ever fell in love, truly loved or whatever, was my father. It's like, well, I gotta go!
Truly loved. She didn't say fell in love
Yeah,
with.
truly loved it. I gotta go. This is fucked up and weird. And again, whoever wrote the women
Oh,
on the
yeah,
show
it was
should
Troy.
be shot.
Troy said that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, but it wasn't Bev.
No,
Yeah, no. Bev
Bev
had
was
her
the one
like...
who had the dream about the boy, and then she was talking about their kids
And he
all
like
this
didn't
shit.
even know I existed. I was 9. He was
Yeah,
11.
And then
something.
Troy makes it about her dad for some reason.
Yeah,
and it was
like
weird.
Bev's-
It was weird and uncomfortable.
Which is definitely totally normal.
Bev's felt felt
Maybe
way
she should
more
go see
like
a counselor for that.
seriously.
Yeah.
Bev's feels a little more real. 'Cause I feel like everyone when they were a kid like ends up having sort of an infatuation and imagines a whole life that with another person who may or may not know you even exist.
Yeah. Well, speaking of not knowing what's going on, let's talk about the rape of Riker.
Wesley. Oh, sorry.
Because
Did not think of it that way. Jesus.
Because
He volunteered.
but he did not.
He didn't volunteer
He
to
did not
fuck.
consent to the sex that he was forced to have with Beverly.
And that does beg the question though. Like, does he even know what's happening?
I feel like
does.
someone like Riker would just have a standard issue like contract.
Yeah, it's just like
that's just always.
he
Like,
just
I
has
will
he has
fuck
a
in any
tattoo on his
circumstance.
chest. It's like I consent.
That's
I mean,
terrible.
you do
I'm
because
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, being fair though, Troi did say at one point, like, I don't think it's a secret. So, was there on some level was Riker like, she really wants to bone this guy?
Or was there?
If I'm this guy, maybe.
Are
she'll
you saying
bone
he
me.
was dressing like he wanted it?
I still
No.
feel like this is just it's so icky.
No, it's fucked up.
I feel
I
like
didn't think about it, but now that I have,
feel like
I thought about it.
I feel
Would
like
it be
Ormo
weirder
there.
if it were Picard?
Would it have been weirder if it were Wesley?
Would it be weirder?
Hey! No. Wesley is busy failing
I gotta go.
philosophy.
Yeah, I'm
which I
actually-
laugh
Yeah,
at.
I'm kinda
Wesley's
gagging right
elbow
now.
deep in the girl from Coming of Age.
Ipanema?
I do kind of like that he's a little more human now that he's at the academy.
Yeah,
He's having trouble with something, and that's kind of cute.
but
fuck
yeah, I don't know.
But of course, it's philosophy, though.
Yeah.
It feels like
Well, you feel like he's better at facts and figures than abstract thought.
Well, to me, it's like in The Breakfast Club. You know what? I'm an idiot because I can't make a lamp. No, you're a genius because you can't make a lamp. That whole thing. No,
I haven't
just
seen it
me.
in so long.
Okay.
I don't
well.
care for the breakfast.
But like,
Oh, I
so
do.
they don't ever talk about whether or not the host is aware at all cognizant of what's going on.
Yeah, no, that.
And, like,
But
that-
apparently later on, it's made plain that they are. Right? You said
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's a totally different
in
Trill.
next wave Trill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Wait, are the Trill the ones with the weird dots?
The spots, yeah.
different
Yeah.
makeup.
Which is actually kind of funny. It's almost like they took the makeup from the aliens from the first
Like
episode,
Balons?
shrunk it down, and it's basically the same. And they
Yeah,
took
it
it
was very
off,
similar.
and they got it off the hands.
I noted that too. But yeah, so let's assume that as the host, your brain is still functioning, like your optic nerve is still bringing, because it must, because the worm isn't going into your brain. It's just that the worm like wraps itself around your spinal cord or something, and
It's like one of Khan's bugs.
yeah, like one of Khan's bugs. And
Or like one
Well,
of
But
let's-
those.
even,
one of
well,
those
even
wheel
Khan
worms.
didn't make any of the people he was bug controlling fuck
But
anybody.
yeah, so let's assume
That
that,
we know
let's
of.
assume that it's like Khan's bug, where
One of them was
you
Chekhov,
cannot
Caitlin.
control yourself. You are being controlled by the bug, but you remember everything that happens while you have the bug.
Controlled by the bug.
So in that way, I mean, it's really insidious, and Odan like has some splaining to do, and probably should be in jail, considering it's not. I don't think it's okay to go into someone's body who's loaning you the body for a
Yeah.
short amount of time for a specific
Yeah.
reason.
Odan
and then,
never asked Riker to do it either. They
No.
decided when he was
Yeah.
you know,
Riker's
dead.
like, I'll do it. But I feel like Odin should have been like, oh wow, this Riker guy is doing me a real solid here, so I should probably not like
Have
fuck-
sex in his body.
Maybe I'll give him a bath.
Like maybe I'll
After the sex or just in general?
Yes, just in general. But
Oh, okay. Well, that's
So like I don't know. I do find it very
disquieting.
very disquieting what happened, and the fact that it wasn't at all addressed in the episode in any way.
Yeah. See, you're right. The thing is, I was so busy just kind of dismissing this episode because I was kind of bored that it didn't even occur to me that was staring me in the face.
right, because you're thinking about it mostly from Beverly's point of view. Beverly's saying, "I don't know how okay I am banging someone other than the person who I fell in love with,
Especially because I know Will.
especially if it's Riker, who still has weird feelings for Troi that never come up all the time."
And who's a
Also,
friend of mine.
but let's be fair. Riker's not like a brother. Shut the fuck up. He's a coworker at best.
And like as much,
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think Riker is like anybody's brother. Like, he's so not Geordi's brother that Geordi's best friend is Data.
Yeah. But I
But
also,
they
we
love
know,
each
but
other.
we know how Troi felt about her dad, so maybe she does think of his Riker as a brother. You know?
Mother of pearl.
I also think that Beverly bears some responsibility.
Oh, totally.
in this as well. Like
Yes.
even though Odan in Riker's body was being very pushy and very, suave and you must stay, Dr.
I'm
Beverly.
really horny.
I need you, Dr. Beverly.
Also, why does he have to call her Dr. Beverly?
Because that's the way we can tell that it's him.
You know what it is?
Yeah, but that's like...
This is a fucking... You gotta figure that we don't know how old the symbiote is. We know that he's at least as old as that old fucking guy.
But probably
From Beta
well older
World.
than that, since he was already being used
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
negotiator, representative, creature
like
thing.
you gotta figure
Sex toy.
this and having been in, obviously they're not gendered, so a host can be male or female. So this Odan, I'm assuming the worms aren't gendered either. Then
That would make sense.
Probably not.
So this Odan has been has had many physical forms over many years.
We could
has
assume.
fucked and sucked their way through many star systems. And
yet the Federation know nothing about them.
And I think it's just generally going to be a horn dog, like to the extent where like you're going to be on a mission for a couple of weeks and you can't keep it in your pants
Seriously.
long enough to not fuck the doctor, and then even when the shit goes wrong, it's like, oh my god, I'm killing this person. I'm so sick. Oh, gotta get my fucking on.
Can I report something a little bit disturbing?
What's the squirrel up to?
No. So, do parasites have, and it's filled out with, the first fill-in is hearts, and then brains, and then a cell wall. That makes more sense.
Well, all different parasites can be mean. A parasite is really any organism that requires another organism to live. So like a parasite isn't a specific type of animal, it's a specific family of creatures.
We require other animals to live.
Well, okay, I'll change that. It's something that requires a host.
I require the gyms.
It requires a host. So like there are parasitic plants, for example, that can only live on the bark of certain trees.
Yeah.
For example. So, but
Asshole
they're still just
plants.
plants, but like they
Certain bugs that plant their babies in caterpillars, and then
Yeah.
the bug gets all blow out of the
That's
caterpillar.
how the Trill
One thing I
came to be.
heard somewhere was that like that mistletoe is a type of parasite.
That's
because
hilarious.
apparently it can't. I think it like can't photosynthesize or something. It's missing some DNA that would allow it to photosynthesize. So it
feeds
live.
off of your love when you kiss under it.
So it has to like grow on
That sounds
another
like a
on
Doctor
another
Who
tree,
episode
and
waiting
it
to
like
happen.
drains the life force of the tree.
Yeesh.
I think the finest example of the human parasite is the politician.
Yeah. But yeah, so the
You forgot about the banker and the lawyer.
The candlestick maker.
No, he's a good guy.
but yeah.
What about the baker?
The best. I love bread.
And then, I think that it would be natural to compare this episode to the Whisper one there. What's the deaf guy?
Oh!
Loud
See-
as a Whisper? Was that what it was?
Loud as a
Yeah,
whisper.
that's right.
What's
See,
his,
I
what was
was-
his name? Was his name Reza?
Riza?
No,
No.
Riza's the planet, but it sounds
Riva.
like
Riva.
Close enough.
I actually was just thinking, like, God, this is like a really shitty remake of Sarek. Where, like,
Oh, I
Wait.
don't know. I feel like the first one, what the fuck was it called? Half a Life was very Sarek because
Half a
it's
brain.
about the aging.
but I mean
Yeah.
the sense of, like, he had to, like,
Stealing somebody's power.
so he could, like, do his negotiation, he had to, like, steal some of Picard's comm. This is more literal, where it's like, I gotta hijack your whole fucking body.
It must have been really
man,
fun
that
to
scene
bring
was
to act.
in
crazy.
terms of having a legendary negotiator show up to solve a war,
Yeah.
and shit goes wrong, and
Yeah, that's very loud as a whisper.
and then there's also a romance subplot.
Yeah.
Is all fits in. I don't know. I feel
It's a lazy episode in so many ways.
They shook the plot dice again, that's all.
yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like this
again,
time it
it's-
just got a little rapey.
Yeah. And again, like like with so many,
Well,
it's
because
like,
they had forgotten the rape gang's die was still in there, and they were like, fuck, how are we supposed to integrate this in now?
But yeah, it's like a paler version of a bunch of other better episodes we've already seen.
I really like the idea of the octopus caterpillar
Yeah,
It's a good
the colors are
idea.
interesting.
as a critter.
but
I'm
the
glad it gets.
execution
I'm
wasn't.
glad to know. Like I like the idea of the species, and I'm glad that it does get a chance to come back and kind of be more fleshed out and kind of some of the real problems with it fixed.
Yeah.
Like that woman is dead for all intents and purposes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she just died.
Based on what we know of the Trill
Like,
right
we know
now.
that apparently the Trill stay in you until you die. Unless maybe it is a temporary thing. Like, you get the symbiont for a couple of years and then you get your life back.
Maybe.
That would be nice.
Yeah, we don't know, because, of course, we don't, you know.
Yeah.
And then the in return they give you like a lot of money and a good life, and you get like a house. Or something.
Yeah, like an indentured servant. I don't know.
That doesn't sound like a good
No,
life.
it's
You
not.
get a robot. You get a really nice robot that...
I don't want
Data.
Does your
You
dishes.
get data.
Okay,
to come
I'm in.
To come and fuck you
He's
for
not
a
a
day.
robot.
Well, no, they don't have Zoom-type androids, so it won't be quite as good.
It's still fine.
It'll be more like Gigolo Joe or whatever from AI.
Like, I do want to know though, like,
But that was
this
Jude
could be
Law. That's fine.
another
Nah.
humanitarian
Well, you don't like Jude
disaster.
Law.
He's not to my flavor.
If you figure that
Taste.
because you
Wow.
gotta figure that the cattle approach is correct, and that the humanoids on the Trill planet are being bred specifically to be hosts to the ruling Trill slug lords.
And they just kind of accept that one day they may be chosen to have their life stripped away from them.
Yeah,
It's like
so,
the Animorphs. Well, yeah, but then having no life at all is probably better than being factory farmed.
So in that case, the Trill, the worms, are fucking
They're
heinous. They're fucking monsters.
And that's why they've hidden their true nature from the Federation as long as they can.
Yeah.
True. But hey, apparently the fucking is so good they make you fall in love in like 3 or 4 days, so...
Well, it's just so good. Just be, I say he, but I'll say they. They have just been
Centuries of experience.
centuries of seduction. They've read what's that book that
Bro, they're
The Game?
vampires.
Is that what it's called? The Game.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Yeah.
They've read
We're
The
all
Game
playing women.
cover to cover
Well,
thousands
it is,
of times.
They're like Tiresias, you know? They know exactly how to pleasure a woman because they've been a woman at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
vice
but-
versa.
But not all species keep their clitoris in the same place.
They do in Star Trek,
Don't
pretty
kick
much.
them in the knees.
9 out of 10.
When you say they do in Star Trek, you mean nowhere because the writers don't even know what it is, probably?
Ah!
I will give you that one.
Thanks.
Anyway, changing topics to more weird fucking shit. This episode, of course, was widely criticized for the what audiences took as homophobia against, the ending there.
Okay, but it's not homophobia to not be attracted to women if you're not attracted to women.
Yeah. Like
I
that,
mean,
that's not
she's
homophobia.
not like, no, you queer, stay away. It was
No
like,
homo.
it was like, you know what?
This just isn't my bag.
I'm good, and that's okay. Like, you don't have to
Oh,
be...
she kissed my wrist. Now I have to wash
But,
it
you
lest
know,
I catch
I-
it.
She actually seemed okay with that.
But they could have actually handled that better. I think they kind of lampshaded it by having Crusher, instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm no longer attracted to you because I don't like the clam." she says,
it's a human failing.
She
or
says,
something.
I just can't deal with you changing all the time." Like,
I thought there was a focus on saying like someday humans may get beyond this or something, and it's like, yeah, a lot of humans have, honey.
I think it was implicit, and I don't think
You're straight. Just say that.
I don't think the writers had the cojones to actually say it, so they tried to lampshade it and then sneak it in there.
Yeah, but it was the early 90s. They couldn't have gotten away with...
No. Well, they could. I bet, see, that's
We
the
were
thing,
still in the
like,
middle of AIDS
yeah,
panic.
Well, sure, but Star Trek had Kirk Frenching Uhura, albeit under alien
I was
influence.
gonna say McCoy.
Well, like, here's the thing, like, Star Trek gets
No,
a lot
McCoy
of credit
looks
for
fine.
that, but remember, they were under alien influence.
Yeah.
And,
That's
but
how they
remember,
sneak it
that
in.
was what, 68, 69?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, like, that was very soon after, like, major race problems with,
Yeah.
RFK and MLK, and, like, it was just it was a bad time for the country, and they went and did that then, and they did, again, they did the alien influence thing, but still, credit where credit's due, that was a pretty bold move.
That's true, but a lot of people usually say stuff like, oh, it was the first biracial kiss. And it's like, no, it wasn't. Lucy and Ricky were Frenching way before Star Trek came about.
They mean black and white, though, when they're
I think
saying
there's
like,
a classifier
Lucy and
on
Ricky
it too, though.
is like, because Cubans are still white to the people that would say that, versus Uhura and Kirk, who, like, that's when they say biracial, that's what
Yeah, they admit it. Yeah, they kind of mean, like...
But point is, I think they could have and should have possibly had a more... It didn't have to be a full-on make-out.
No.
But because it would have been almost the same situation, because it would have been a kiss, And then they could say, well, really she was kissing the man that she loved, even though he was in a different body now,
Yeah.
Whatever. The new Odon looked like she had really soft lips. Go for it.
That's true.
Plant one on her.
So, maybe, but then again, it's also quite fine to just say, well, Dr. Crusher isn't attracted to women in that way, and that's fine too. No problem. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree with you, though, that they could have dealt with it.
They could have done it.
No, you're right.
And maybe it wasn't the right time.
Just one wording change would have.
But that's a very interesting thing with the
skeezy.
Trill, is that's a situation that you have. If you can change gender, what happens if you are a Trill, join Trill, and you're married? I wonder if they even have marriage, and you're married and you die, and then your host dies, and then you go into a new host that's a different gender. You carry on with your previous marriages?
Well, but not only that, but let's say you were both a lot older and now the new host is a lot younger. Maybe they don't want to be with this weird old person.
But it's the same person
Yeah, but
always
remember-
inside the person.
Yeah, so I'm thinking
Yeah, you're
more
thinking
of later.
DS9.
Yeah, I'm thinking DS9 Trill.
era, where it would be a different situation.
Yeah. But
What, they just Doctor Who it and become totally new people?
So
You were saying that the personality bleeds through more.
Well, without spoiling it too much, basically the idea is that each host is their own person, and the Trill, the symbiont, is more like a blank slate, and it just you get the Trill, and then you share a brain with it, and then you die, and the Trill moves on, and your memories that were in the Trill go to. So really, in DS9, the symbiont itself is
It's additive.
It's not. It's additive, and it's not really a sentient being on its own.
It's more like a hard drive.
It's a hard drive of
Yeah.
collected memories of each of the previous
and
hosts.
there is they do discuss at some point, and these aren't major plot elements, but you're definitely a different person after you've joined, but you as you were is still
like CrossFitters.
the dominant person. You're still the dominant personality. But you now have all these new memories and this extra experience, and some things about you might suddenly develop a taste for something you hadn't before.
Like eating pussy.
Yeah,
for example,
possible.
You've got all these old friendships suddenly that were never part of you before. So you're not, you are changed, but not as radically as it is in this version of the Trill.
Yeah,
They become a much more interesting and dynamic species because of the retcons.
But they'll never be as pretty as Odon.
I don't know. Terry Farrell was my first crush. I think. She was the actress that played the Trill character.
I've got to.
What's her name?
Terry Farrell. She was also on Becker.
She's also married to one of the Spocks. Nope. Nimoy's.
Yes, she is. See,
Terry, what was it?
Farrell, Farrell. See, for me, I wasn't really paying any attention when DS9 started. I wasn't yet really in that place where I was looking at people and I was like, hey, wow, she's pretty. So I never really thought of her that way. But I did. By the time the show ended, I had a bit of a crush on Esri.
Yeah, Esri was cute in a different way.
Yeah.
Wow, her Trill spots are really leopard printy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's generally what Trill
happens.
spots are from here on out.
They change them up though a little bit.
So they are the cheetah people.
Yeah. She's very clear that they do go all the way down.
I'm sorry, what?
They go all the way down.
And back up
They're
again.
not just on your face.
So she got cheetah titties.
Yeah.
No, I think they only go down the side, right?
Yeah, I think they kind of go down the side.
Alright, so she's got
and
cheetah
at least in
side
my
boob.
fantasy, they rejoin.
Oh my.
Around the...
A little cheetah,
Leopard happy
cheetah
trail.
print happy trail. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
I could tell.
Thank you.
I don't know. If
All right,
that's I don't know if that's canon though.
I'm sure there's plenty of.
I think we've talked about these enough. It sounds like I don't know. I feel like I kind of like both of these episodes as episodes in different ways. I have major problems with some of the shit that goes on, but my problems with these episodes more so. I don't know. I say my problems with this episode host is more in the writing, and my problems with Half a Life are more in the story and what happens in the world. But I can also fault the writing for that as well. So, but anyway, yeah. So I'd say decent week though. Decent week.
Yeah,
I enjoyed these shows.
Yeah, good week.
But in any case, that's all we're going to talk about these ones. So we'd love to hear what you thought about these episodes on our Facebook page and our Tumblr and Twiddler.
Nipplers.
Tippler.
What are we watching next week?
Somebody hit him. He's stuck.
All right, we'll get back to that. Next week on our show, we'll be talking about 2 episodes of The Next Generation, Star Trek, The Next Generation, The Mind's Eye, The Mind's Eye, The Mind's Eye, and In Theory. In Theory. We're quickly nearing the end of season 4 here.
We are.
So we're getting excited, and I think next week we might be even having a special surprise guest on our show. Ooh, very exciting. But we'll find out about that next time. Until then, find us on Facebook. Search for A Star to Steer Her By. Also find us on Twitter and Tumblr. SSHB Podcast is our handle on those platforms. You can also subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and also on Google Play Casts and any other podcast thing. You can vote for us with stars on iTunes, 5 or better, or 4. I don't know, however many. Do what you gotta do.
Telling them to get out the vote, huh, Jake?
Get out the vote. Yeah, I think this airs a couple weeks before Election Day, but just remember to vote. I'll probably remind you next week as well to do that. Let's see what else we got.
Who are you?
Oh, no, there's something I missed. Oh, SoundCloud. SoundCloud. That's right. There we go. Anyway, I'm Jake.
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is always Caitlin.
Live long and prosper. Hey.
Hey.
I'll do the other one next week.
What other one?
Peace and long life.
So tell us about this turd, Jake.
Oh, I don't know. This is like a weird childhood story. The names will be omitted to protect the innocent.
Are they that innocent?
Oh, I don't know. When I was growing up, I had a friend who was...
Congratulations.
I know. But he had a problem with incontinence in terms of the bowel movements.
Who was this?
A friend of mine.
A friend of yours?
When I was a kid.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and like it was kind of an open secret that he often had poopy pants.
Aww.
So, which is tough for a elementary school kid. But of course, and the other kids didn't make it easy.
And of course, you were friends with this kid that shits his pants.
Of course, I was friends with the poopy pants kid.
How old?
I don't know, like 3rd grade, 4th grade, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, he was, we were having a sleepover, which, is not great. Probably not wise in this, for him to do sleepovers. Like, that seems to me like if that's a problem that you have, that's very unfortunate, and I'm sorry, and I feel very bad for you. Maybe sleepovers are one of the things that you should probably not engage in. Anyway, my father, upon one of these sleepovers, evidently, he himself was getting up to go to the bathroom at night and stepped on a turd.
Where?
In the hallway.
No!
Leading to the bathroom.
Oh.
Like a human, like not like an animal dropping, like a cat shit or something, but like a human wad of poo.
So it was
and
form.
for years, it was a thing that my dad would say, how in my own house. Like stepping on shit.
Like stepping on shit in someone else's house.
Like stepping on a
okay?
shit in any case is acceptable, but it's if it's in your own house, that is beyond the pale.
So you were friends with the Mad Pooper.
I was
the butler.
So that's that story.
Nice.
I don't know. I feel like you could use that to your advantage and poop wherever you want and just blame this kid.
That's something.
Is that why you were really friends?
Yes.
This guy's fucking up to his old tricks again.
I'm going to trick my dad into stepping in my poo.
Wow. This is some Always Sunny stuff right
The
here.
truth has come out.
Anyway, feel free to use or not use that in the episode, Chris.
We'll see.